Hey guys, this is MG Modern Watches and you're going to be watching another unboxing video of mine. My name is Matt and today we're going to look at a new Homage watch I got, which is the Tevise T822A automatic watch, which is a homage to the Rolex Daytona Cosmograph, reference number 116500 LN, which is the black and white model. So I ordered this watch from AliExpress. It was $27 plus a little bit of tax. It took about 3 weeks to come in the mail from China. So first thing we notice when we unbox is we get this cool little tool which will help you remove links from the watch. And this is actually a pretty nice one. It's kind of like a screw-in kind, which is probably works a little bit better than some of the ones I have. So that's actually a nice throw-in for only $27. So now let's take a look at the watch itself. And here it is. Some of this plastic off. And you can see the watch here. Some extra packaging. We'll take this rubber band off. And here is the watch. And actually it looks pretty awesome so far from what I can tell. This is the second Tevise watch I've purchased, which is a low-cost Chinese brand. And you may remember I had an unboxing video for my Tevise Submariner Homage watch, which was actually a really great purchase. I really am loving that watch, and I'm probably going to do a review of that watch soon. But, you know, for an automatic watch, these guys make a pretty quality product at a really, really low price point. I think the Submariner Homage I got was $17 or so. This one, again, was $27, but again, I was very happy with the Tevise. Obviously, you get what you pay for. You're not going to have highest quality steel. You're not going to have all the functions that the actual watch has, but you know, for the price point, I mean, again, I think the Submariner Homage that I bought before, the actual watch is, you know, $8,000, $9,000 retail, if you can get it for that much. Usually you have to buy it on the gray market, but this watch, again, the list price of a brand new Rolex Daytona in black and white is $12,700, I believe, or somewhere in that range. So again, this is $27, so way lower of a price point. So a little bit about this watch. This is 40 millimeters case size, stainless steel, similar to the Submariner Homage. It has a bracelet that's kind of like a Rolex Oyster bracelet. So you get the polished middle of the bracelet and the links, and the brushed edges of the links on the side, which is actually a really nice feature. In the light, it looks great in sunlight, and it just looks really sharp. And so far, I've been very happy with my other purchase, so I've been excited to get this watch as well. So this is an automatic watch. From my experience at Tevise, power reserve, kind of like 5, 6, 7 hours or so. So if you leave it overnight, the watch may run when you wake up, may not, may need a little bit of shaking and a little bit of winding. But for the most part, you know, for the price point, it's fine. It's a nice way to get to know how an automatic watch works, get used to the look and feel of different watches on your wrist, which is one reason I started getting into the Homage game initially, is just to kind of try out different types of watches and see what styles I like. And I really love the Submariner look, and I've been excited to try out this Daytona Homage as well. So we got some of the plastic off. So there's a few key differences, of course, with the Homage watch we have here versus the actual Submariner. So we can see, one thing I like about Tevise watches is they really do a good job of mimicking the look and feel of the item that they're replicating. So in this case, one thing I always look for in my homages are kind of the placement of the logo, the dial markers, the look of the bracelet, the case size, the similar case thickness, buttons in the same place, text on any bezel looking similar. A lot of Daytona homages you get will have a tachometer text here. This one has units per hour, which is similar to the actual watch, the actual Daytona we're looking at. I also look at the hands, have them look similar. And in this case, we can see the seconds hand has the arrow on it, similar to Daytona. The hour and minute hands have loom on it. I would imagine this loom is pretty weak given my experience with the other Tevise watch, but again, you get what you pay for. I'm not expecting to read this swatch in the dark, but just the general look and feel with the bracelet, similar to the Oyster bracelet, looks good. One thing you will notice is the actual Daytona Cosmograph. The case thickness is about 12.4 millimeters. This is 16, which is pretty thick, we can see. The one thing that I do like about Tevise is, I don't know if you can see it here, is they sign the crown with their logo, similar to a Rolex crown. You know, it's just a nice little touch for the price point. These buttons, I don't even know if they're operational, honestly. They just kind of mimic the chronograph feature pushers on an actual Daytona. But just for a homage, you know, you're just kind of looking for the general look at a glance, and I think this looks pretty close. Again, you're going to notice the quality isn't quite there. We can see the text in units per hour on the bezel. You know, it's a little fuzzy there, you know, not the greatest quality of the text, the engraving all around the bezel. On the actual Daytona, of course, a new black bezel Daytona. The newer ones have a ceramic bezel. I'm not sure what material this is. I wouldn't think it's an actual ceramic bezel. It doesn't look super high quality. You can see some of the numbers here. This fifth, I can't even tell what it is. Is it a 90? Is, you know, kind of blacked out. Maybe that'll clean up a little bit later. But, you know, the bezel isn't the best, but at a glance, look and feel, you know, from that perspective, looks great. You can see the automatic movement is already running, and again, for the price point, I like the look of the Tevise movement. This is very similar to the other Submariner homage I have, where you can see the rotor. They engraved the rotor with their logo with some finishing on it. Looks pretty nice. The rotor moves pretty easily. You know, again, for this price point, you're not going to get the most beautiful movement, but, you know, I've seen watches that are $100, $150 homages that actually don't have as nice looking movement as these Tevise watches. So again, it's a good brand for the money. And you can see the clasp is signed. My experience, the deployment clasp here is actually pretty great from my experience. Press the button to unlock, and there you go. So the other key difference one thing you'll notice, of course, of the functionality is this is not a chronograph. So we can see the subdials are on an actual Daytona indicate hours, minutes, seconds of the chronograph when you press start and stop. In this case, we have 3 subdials similar to a Daytona, but here there are 3 dials. To be honest, I'm not quite positive. I believe that this dial here is goes up to 12. That indicates the month. We have a date, which the actual Daytona doesn't have a date window. And I really like having a date window in my watches, so I don't mind this difference at all. Then we have this dial here, and I believe that's just a 24-hour clock. And this dial here to 7 is the day of the week. So at a glance, you get a lot of information for a $27 watch. You get the day of the week, 24-hour clock, and month, date. So I mean, that's pretty cool in my opinion, again, to get for this price point. So the biggest key difference in the look and feel, and as I mentioned in previous videos, is really try to find a watch that looks as similar at a glance to the actual watch I'm buying a Homage of. So Tevise again does a great job of replicating the logo placement, where you'd see a Rolex crown here, the size of the text on the dial, you know, the proper size of the font, similar where you'd see Rolex and forget what it is, but maybe a Oyster Perpetual Cosmograph or something like that. But the sizing is different. This is curious. They call this watch a Datejust, I guess, since it has a date, which of course is another famous Rolex model, the Datejust, which is more of a dress watch and not a sports watch like this. But that's kind of curious. But on the actual Daytona, you would see the Daytona text, sometimes in red, sometimes another color, over this bottom subdial. But at the bottom, we see the model number T822A. So, I mean, looks pretty good so far. So I'm excited to try this out. I don't think this watch will be sized properly for me, but just at a glance on my wrist, looks awesome. The biggest difference in the look and feel between this watch and the 116500 LN, which is the black bezel, brand new Daytona, which is a pretty hot watch right now. Again, the retail price is $12,700, I believe, somewhere in that range, but it's impossible to get. Stainless steel Rolex watches are just impossible to get brand new from an authorized dealer right now, and been that way for quite some time. So really, you're looking at paying almost double that price, probably, in on the gray market. So, you know, right now it looks great. And the biggest difference on this watch is that the subdial, the borders on this watch are, as you can see, are silver. On the actual watch, it is black, similar to the bezel. So that's the one key look and feel difference. But I've seen pictures of this watch, and, you know, kind of at a glance here, you know, if you look at it from this perspective, you know, you're not going to tell too much of a difference between the silver and black subdial. So I didn't mind that difference too much, even though I always try to find as close as possible. There are some other more expensive Daytona Homages that have the black subdials, but honestly, I really like this. Again, not the best quality so far. You can see the bezel text, and just some of the finishing is not going to be there. Probably not going to be as good as even some more expensive Daytona Homages. But again, $27, you can't beat it. I've been very happy with the brand in the past, and eager to resize the bracelet and start wearing this out, and get back to you guys with a review later. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the content, and we'll check in later on this Tevise Daytona Homage. Thank you.